What's going on, everybody? We're back. You got episode number 229 of the Club and Sub podcast. Tonight we're chatting UFC Vegas 108. We got a new main event as of this afternoon, and we have betting odds as of about 20 minutes ago. We got Tatsuro Taira taking on Hyunseon Park. Originally supposed to be Tatsuro Taira against Amir Albazi, but that got scrapped because Albazi is injured again. Yeah, it's an interesting main event. I'm actually kind of excited to talk about it. It's actually one of the few fights on this card I'm somewhat excited to talk about.
I know.
So, right? Guys, if you like the show, drop a like and subscribe. Share if you feel the need. And yeah, I mean, I guess before we get into this, briefly talk about this weekend's card. Fucking sucked. I passed on a bunch of shit. Passed on Budai, which won. Passed on Ilocano, which won. I had the goes the distance in Blackshear, Davy Grant to win a unit and a half. I had the over 1.5 to win a unit at minus 146 in Salikov and Carlos Leal. Obviously, that ended quickly and viciously. Yeah. And then I had 5.1 units on Robert Whittaker, like an average price of like minus 145. Bummer of a fight. I felt like Reiner de Ritter fought pretty well. Did a good job using his knees early to kind of wear Rob down. You can see Rob didn't kind of have the same gas and same legs under him he normally does later in the fight. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was a very good bet. I do think Rob could have, I thought it was a close fight. I think either side could have gotten the decision, but unfortunately, Rob did not get the decision. So, yeah, I mean, it's a first. I think it's like that won 7 straight cards prior to that. So, wow. Lost 5.02 units this week, and hopefully we get back on the bike. But it's a pretty bleak card. What do you think? Or how'd you do, Legs?
Well, you'll get back on the horse for sure, John. Like you said, you just had 7 winning cards in a row. You'll get back on it. So speaking on that main event specifically, I had 2.25 units on Whittaker at minus 140. And to your point, he probably could have gotten the decision, but it honestly was shocking to me that he didn't end up winning 4 or 5. Like, that was a shocking post-fight outcome to me. Like, I didn't think de Ritter pre-fight was going to even have much success in those rounds. But to your point, was those knees early really draining Rob. And then I played Davy Grant plus 7.5 point spread at minus 110. Honestly, just kicking myself for not having a little bit on the money line. We talked about it even on the show. I was like, I'm going to throw a half unit on Davy at plus 300. But them's the breaks. But honestly, even saying that, though, like, to me, it was more an indictment of how Blackshear fought in rounds 2 and 3. Like, if he just goes to the grappling, probably wins one of those 2 rounds. Like, it was crazy to, like, for him to easily control the first round.
I think he was a little tired, to be honest.
Yeah, and his cardio was a bit shaky. Yeah.
Yeah, his optics were kind of weird after the first round. I got to say, with the Whittaker fight, kind of to what you just said, I feel like if you told me pre-fight that Whittaker was going to be up 2-1 unanimously going into round 4, and I'd be like, I'll put my mortgage on it if you're giving me pick'em, which is basically what the odds were. Yeah, it was really weird. I mean, honestly, I know that, and the knees did do work. I give Reiner de Ritter credit for that, but like, I didn't really update my priors on de Ritter all that much. He basically won the last 2 rounds just kind of pushing Rob into the clinch, and Rob was kind of too tired.
Yeah, I think if he just threw a little bit more volume, even 4 or 5, he probably wins.
Yeah,
so
they were close rounds. He just didn't have the gas. Like, it's not like de Ritter was like putting it on him. He was kind of just clinching him up and like rabbit punching him, and Rob just couldn't do anything about it. So yeah, I mean, credit to Reiner de Ritter bettors. I was pretty shocked that how that ended up playing out, but that's the game we play. So we'll get into it this week. Very small card. I believe as of right now, if I'm not mistaken, we only have 11 fights on it. It's I don't know. Yep. It'll be interesting to break down. There's a couple interesting ones. We'll jump into it. Let me just pull up Tapology real quick so we can get the fight order here. Mm-hmm. And the first fight of the night is that fight's not on this card. Wait, did Austin Bashi just get added to this card?
Oh, I just saw that now. Yeah, it must have just got added because I was looking at the canceled fights and it was Bashi and Francis Marshall and that got canceled, but I guess this must have just got added maybe right now.
Well, I have nothing to say about this.
I didn't know
I know nothing about this guy. Yeah, so we're not going to talk about this fight. I'll talk about it in my write-up on Saturday. But the first fight we are going to talk about, it's Piera La Fiera Rodriguez. She's taking on Ketlin Souza. Current price, Rodriguez is a moderate favorite. She's minus 190. The comeback on Souza, plus 165. What do you think here, Danny?
It's not, I'm not too eager about laying minus 190 on Piera, but like I think the line's more or less right. Like I think she probably can land takedowns here, can control Ketlin. I think she's got the slightly better cardio of the two. I think the striking's pretty close, really. Like, to me, I guess the really worry about laying minus 190 pre-fight is like if Vieira doesn't get off to a hot start, I don't really like have a ton of confidence her dogging it out, winning round 2, winning round 3. Like, I think it's probably a close fight on the back end if she's not landing takedowns early. So I lean Vieira though.
Jewish better says, how do you not know Giannis? I don't really watch Fury FC, man. I am not familiar with him. You're getting staticky now, Legs. I don't know. You might want to try pulling the headphones, doing whatever you did before.
Gotcha.
To get it to come out. I don't know. I don't know, chat. Do you guys hear static when Legs is talking? I don't know if it's just in my earphones. It could be. Anyway, my thoughts. I don't know. I kind of want to bet Vieira. I don't love betting minus 190 just because she does tend to have gas tank issues. I mean, obviously, Souza hits pretty hard, and for a woman, decent boxer, fought reasonably competitive with 41-year-old Angela Hill. I don't think Souza's all that good, though. I don't think her footwork's great. Decent physicality, which is good, but I don't think she has more physicality than Vieira has. I actually like Vieira's ability to get in and out a bit more than hers. I think the grappling is like the biggest edge in this fight. And yeah, like B. Riva just mentioned it in the chat, but Souza's power does tend to fall off a cliff later, or not off a cliff, but it does tend to decrease as the fight goes on. I think Vieira, the opportunities are there for her to get a lot of takedowns here in control, though. I'm not sure she can't just do. I don't see why she can't just do what she did to Josephine Knudsen in her last fight. I think despite Souza's track record of KOs, I think the KO threat is actually like fairly low here in this fight for Vieira. So yeah, I mean, I think she's the better striker. I think she's the better grappler. The big question is just the cardio later in fights. But like Vieira doesn't really quit. She won a decision against Sam Hughes. She's won round 3s before.
She seems pretty durable too.
Yeah, she does. That's as long as she just doesn't headbutt a half conscious opponent, like she should do fine.
Unbelievable,
bro.
Minus 175 against Cornolle. That was a gift.
That was one of my biggest bets of the year last year.
That was unbelievable.
Quite painful. Yeah. So I mean, I lean the Vieira side. I haven't decided if I'll get to a bet on it yet. I'm considering it honestly, but
if price comes in a little bit, I probably would.
Yeah, I want to do a little more research on it, but I do feel that side semi strongly. Moving on, we got Felipe Bunes taking on Rafael Estevam. Current price Estevam minus 460. The comeback on Bunes is plus 360. It's another one. Like I feel. I don't know if I'll get to a bet on it. I do think the price is kind of crazy, though. I feel like, I mean, Estevam he's a much more processed fighter than Bunes is. He's going to attempt a ton of takedowns. It's kind of his game. He just throw front kicks and takedowns and try to control you there. I guess my issue is I don't know how easy that game's going to work. Like, it's possible Bunes just tries to play off his back and ends up getting top timed, but I'm not like at all convinced that Estevam's going to easily outgrapple him or not get swept or end up in like deep bad spots on the mat in this fight. Yeah. On the feet, I think Bunes is better than Estevam is. Like Bunes isn't a great striker, but he's competent enough. I think if Bunes gets on top of Estevam at any point to scramble or whatnot, he could potentially sub him in this fight. Cardio wise, I think they might be similar, but Estevam just uses so much more energy than Bunes does. So, like, I do trust Bunes' cardio to hold on down the stretch here more than just Estevam's. The big concern for me is just, like, Estevam is the much more physically imposing fighter. He's huge for the weight class. I'm surprised he's still fighting in the weight class, to be honest. He's a pretty good wrestler, and he goes for it over and over again. Like, he knows what he wants to do. And so it's like kind of one of those like super binary fights where it's like if Bunes just plays guard and Estevam can deal with the guard, he's going to look like a huge favorite here, which is how he's getting priced. I'm just not totally convinced that he can deal with it. I don't know. What do you think, Lax? Like I agree with Estevam being a favorite on process alone, but I don't think he's like got a crazy skill edge in this fight.
Sorry, I was just looking real quick to see if anybody commented about the static. Didn't seem like there were any comments.
I can still hear it.
Okay.
I'm not sure what's causing it.
All right. Honestly, I think the price is fine just because, to your point about just the playing guard, I think outside of the first like 7.5 minutes, I think Estevam probably can cruise like in the back half. Like I think Bunes more than likely needs like an early sub, an early finish. It's harder just to not think that Estevam just going to be the dominant minute winner here with the wrestling.
Yeah, fair enough.
But,
Chad is saying they can hear it, so you might want to just bounce in and out, or just do whatever you did before to get the headphones back on track. Moving on, though, we got Rodolfo Vieira taking on Tresean Gore. Current price, Vieira is minus 225. The comeback on Gore, plus 190. I don't know. There's a part of me that wants to bet Gore just since I feel like
I feel you, John. I feel you here.
Like Vieira, if he isn't like insta tapping you, he's not like offering all that big. I shouldn't say all that big a threat. He's got a decent jab. He's tough, but you know what I mean. It's like Vieira. His upside is so tied to how much grappling success he can have, and I'm not really sure in the context of this fight. I don't think Gore is a bad wrestler at all, and I don't think his getup game is bad at all either. Now, obviously, if he ends up with Rodolfo Vieira on top of him having consolidated position, that's quite bad. But if he doesn't and he's able to keep it upright, well, then it's an interesting fight. Having said all that, I will say I think Vieira winning a striking decision is perfectly plausible. Tresean Gore, he's big and he's athletic. I think his power is a bit overrated, though, and he's extremely low volume. He gets out attempted by an insane rate by just about everybody he fights. He's just like way too selective in how he picks his shots. So I could imagine Vieira winning like, a 29-28 close striking decision here. He does have, obviously, considerably more grappling upside. He's likely got more finishing upside in this fight by a fair margin. So I don't know. When you add those factors in, that like Gore doesn't necessarily have a clear standing edge, it's kind of like you're really starting to get thin on the percentages of how much value there really is on the Gore side. So I'll probably pass. I do. It wouldn't shock me, though, if Gore makes this like a very, very competitive fight. What do you think?
Yeah, but to your point, though, I think it wouldn't shock me if Vieira ends up winning a striking-based decision here either. So, though watching Gore's tape back, it's like Battle didn't have an easy time grappling him. Even Brundage, like early on, like he did get him down, but like was trying to put the hooks in, and Gore defended well, was able to get back up. Obviously gets knocked out by Cody, but not a great look there either. But I mean, I just don't think outside of early on, I don't think Vieira is going to have an easy time here.
No, I
kind of specifically.
Yeah, I agree. And Gore's made the battle fight in and of itself was it was a very competitive fight.
Yeah, outside of the first round where he did nothing, but
yeah, but that's his big issue.
Yeah.
If he went forward and just decided he was going to put hands on Vieira, I think he could. But who does he do that against? No one really.
And the problem is too, if he wants to let his hands go a lot here, maybe that's just going to open up the takedown threat from Vieira. So
yeah,
not great.
Yeah. It's an interesting fight. I do think there's enough macro factors combined with the grappling upside on the Vieira side that it's I'm not overly interested in Gore, but I wouldn't be shocked if he competes pretty hard here. Moving on, we got Rinya Nakamura coming off his first UFC loss, taking on Nathan Fletcher, also coming off his first UFC loss. Current price, Rinya's minus 400. The comeback on Fletcher's plus 300. What do you think, Lags? You think Rinya's on upset alert again here?
Well, first off, Mike, okay, decent, better. About
Still pretty staticky.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll try to fix it maybe next time then.
Yeah.
My bad. Personally, I don't think so. I think he can probably get takedowns here pretty easily. Can control Fletcher. I think everything is priced pretty accurate here. If you told me Nakamura 70-ish%, that's fine. I think him 60% by decision. I think that's fine too. I think more often than not, Nakamura by decision is the outcome.
Yeah, I feel that Nakamura should do fine. I mean, I wouldn't be comfortable if Fletcher got on top of Nakamura. I actually sort of expect Nakamura is just going to keep it standing up, which is kind of why I'm a bit sketched at the price. I'm not particularly interested in betting Fletcher just because I think Nakamura is a much better talent with way better athleticism, way more power, probably on a better trajectory than Fletcher's on. The issue for me is just if Nakamura does what I think and decides to keep it upright, I mean, I could see a path where Fletcher just outvolumes him to a decision, or maybe gets some cage push and whatnot and, steals a couple rounds. But to your point, I do think Rinya could potentially take him down and control him. And even secondarily to that, I think Rinya's just a lot faster with a much better hardware. He's much more durable and he hits way harder, which should be pretty significant advantages here. The time to fade him was last fight, and I passed like a moron. I have no interest in betting Nathan Fletcher. I worry in general that like Rinya fights close if he's not like implementing his A game plan, and given the nature of the matchup, he might not implement that game plan here. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I don't want to like, yeah, I guess I'm with you, like 70-75% probably fine. I think if anything, and I won't take credit for it. Lucky Tim in the chat pointed this out to me earlier in the week, but I actually don't think the GTD is terrible. It's like minus 180, and I think it goes the distance much more. I think most of the finishing equity is likely a Rinya KO, so I don't think it's an awful look potentially.
Yeah, don't hate it.
Moving on, we got Nick Klein versus Andre Polyav. Interesting fight here. Current price, Polyav is minus 150. The comeback on Klein's plus 130. I'm like tempted by Klein. I'll be honest. I really, I'm really of a couple minds with this fight because like,
same.
I think Andre Polyav, I thought he was terrible going into his Contender Series fight. I think I bet Liam Anderson at minus 200 against him, if I'm not mistaken. Damn. And he closed like minus 330 or something. And Liam Anderson is trash, but he's big and he grapples, you know. Polyav, my read on him pre-Contender Series was that his striking was okay. He had poor gas. He was a pretty poor grappler. And he wasn't particularly durable. Liam Anderson, he's a decent striker, though. You know, he picks his shots well. He's fast. Okay power. I think his power is a bit overrated, but decent power. And like Liam Anderson is just kind of a goon. Like, no disrespect, but like he's just like a big guy who's very hittable and just relies on like muscling you down with his size. And Polyav learned enough in the clinch to kind of just avoid that and just kind of beat him up on the feet and then, you know, hold him, you know, in the front headlock for a large portion of that fight. But then you got his next fight against Christian Leroy Duncan, and you kind of saw it. Now, look, I'm not going to compare Nick Klein to Christian Leroy Duncan, but I mean, Polyav didn't even engage in that fight. You know, he basically ran for 15 straight minutes. It was a pretty horrible look. And I really just don't think this guy's very good. Like, I'm not even very good. I don't really think he's like UFC level personally. You know, he's got a decent right. He's got, you know, decent straight right, decent straight left, but like he's got okay kicks, but he's not high volume. He's not like a pressure heavy fighter. I still think he's got big issues if he's grounded. And look, Nick Klein is not good. Like I like some of the aspects of Nick Klein's game. You know, he attempts a lot of takedowns. He's got pretty good jiu-jitsu. He's got decent wrestling. I actually think his wrestling is solid, to be honest. The issue is just he's an athletic nothing. Like, you know, like he really just he doesn't seem very physically strong. Although he did hold Mansour in the clinch for a bit in their fight, but I don't think he's very powerful. His striking is a mess. Like, he's trying to be completely risk off and stay all the way out or all the way in, which I like, to be honest. I think it's intelligent. The problem is he just needs to get his grappling going to win. Like, if he doesn't get his grappling going, he's pretty much screwed at this level. And yeah, like I said, I think he's a decent wrestler. And I think he's got good jiu-jitsu. The problem is, like, you know, the lack of physicality, even though I like his technique, really troubles me. But in the context of this fight, I don't know. I mean, it's not like Polyav's going to be pressuring him and you're putting volume in his face and like making it hard for him to time takedowns, you know? Like, he can probably play that outside in game a lot and just avoid damage that way. And I do think if he gets Polyav flat, he can really have some like serious success in this fight. And I also think he's got a huge cardio edge. Like, that's the one thing I'll say about Klein. Very, very good cardio. He's relentless. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm torn because Polyav, I do think, has a big grappling edge. And I do think he can get takedowns here. And I think it's interesting to me that, like, Liam Anderson was, like, minus 280 when he fought Polyav 2 fights ago on Contender Series. And he's fighting someone. I mean, Anderson's a better striker than Klein is, but he's fighting a better grappler and a better wrestler here, and he's the favorite. So, I don't know. I guess my view of it is, like, I don't think Klein's downside is Polyav really learned to wrestle, which I'd be a little surprised at. And I guess that, you know, that could, if that is the case, you know, he could just beat him up and finish him. But I don't know, man. I think Klein has like decent sized favorite upside if he can get takedowns here. What do you think, Lex?
I honestly thought when it was at evens, I had like mild interest in Polyav just because I thought he could stay safe, like in terms of the grappling. Because to me, I felt like I know you're saying Klein's got good cardio and probably better than Polyav's. I won't disagree there, but I don't think Klein's got great cardio himself. So I think if he's not getting the wrestling going early, then if he is stuck at distance, I think Polyav is the much better striker of the two. So to me, like slight favor, maybe minus 130 again, minus 140 now, minus 150 now that we're seeing on Polyav. I get it to a degree, but it's a shit fight. I'm fine passing.
Yeah, I guess my point is just like I look at Polyav, even the Anderson performance. He didn't finish him. He got controlled.
He's low volume. He's so low volume.
And he got cage pushed for a lot of that fight. He got controlled on bottom for a bit. It's not like, even though he won that decision cleanly, it's not like it was like, he was fighting essentially a mid-tier LFA guy, and it's not like, he bathed himself in glory in that fight, So,
Yep.
Like, I was surprised he got a contract. Like, I really was. Now, I mean, look, you could say the same thing about Nick Klein, but yeah, I mean, you're right. Like, I guess that's kind of my point, though, and like where I'm at is like, I'd be really surprised.
And you're getting like plus 140 on Klein.
I'd be really surprised if we watch the fight and like at the end of it, we're like, wow, Polyav's true price is minus 500. Whereas it's like, if you told me Klein comes out there and gets like 3 or 4 takedowns and 10 minutes of control, it's not my base case, but it wouldn't shock me, So, yeah. I haven't, to be clear, I haven't bet anything on the fight yet. I'm thinking about it. I have plenty of concerns about Nick Klein, but I'm considering it. Moving on, we have this.
Let me chime in real quick. What I think is kind of crazy, though, I'm just looking at some props here for that fight specifically. They have Polyav ITD at plus 120. I mean,
that's crazy.
That seems crazy to me.
But I do think that's like, I mean, that's even still tight for that. But like, I feel like if Polyav's the favorite, he's got to be finishing this like 30-35% of the time, right?
Maybe.
I just feel like if it's going the distance, Klein's probably getting a lot of cage push or a lot of top time in the fight,
Maybe
cage he's helpless,
push, but maybe not a lot of. But I think the thing is, though, like with his cage control, it's not super meaningful. Like he held Malik against the cage a little bit, but didn't do a lot in the clinch.
Yeah, but Malik's a bulldozer.
Oh, man. I know. The physicality from him to Polyav, I'm not trying to compare them. I'm just saying the fact that he did nothing in terms of damage in the clinch.
Yeah, that's fair. No, he didn't. You're right.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to compare them physically. It's a wet noodle versus an absolute jacked gorilla.
This actually is like low key a decent card, honestly. It's bad for
watchability.
Names,
watchability wise, it is. It's
fun. A lot of these fights are going to be pretty fun, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Speaking of fun fights, we got Danny Silva taking on Kevin Vallejos. Fucking banger, this one.
Yeah.
Kevin Vallejos is minus 400. The comeback on Danny Silva is plus 300. Do you think the minus 400 is justified, Lags?
I kind of do. I feel like this is similar in a sense to the Nakamura fight, to be honest with you. I feel like the lines are priced here. The under at like a minus 150-ish kind of range. Vallejos is a big favorite. I think he just has much more hardware, bigger hitter, more volume of the two. In terms of the grappling, I think Vallejos can keep it upright. I think Danny just eats too many shots, really.
I bet Danny at like plus 305. Yeah.
3-1 3-1 shot bet, John?
Yeah, for sure.
I'll give you
we have to like tally because there's definitely one of us definitely owes the other one shot.
I will say this.
Which one it is.
I was just going to say this because I know I don't have it out with me. I do owe you one, and the one specifically, it's Cheedy and Matthews.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the one I owe you. But other than that, we are aligned.
Didn't we have a 2-1 last week on Buchecha and Budai?
Did we really? I'll have to rewatch it. If we did, then I'll take 3. Listen, I'll load up to it. I'll have to rewatch it, but if so, I will.
But we got I feel like, look, I love Kevin Vallejos. I think this kid's the truth. I think he's got a really, really bright future ahead of him. I also think he's really fucking raw, man. Like he's a nasty boxer in the pocket, good power, great combinations, hits the body. What's going on, Liam? Which you love to see. But I also think there's just a lot of questions about where this kid's at. Like, obviously, a lot of the hype is being driven by the fact that he fought Gene Silva, who knows, he might be a future champion as closely as he did. But the truth about that fight is, he won the first round and Silva was kind of fucking off, for most of that round, throwing like stupid spinning shit and just getting tagged. And then the last 2 rounds, Silva just kind of beat the shit out of him, which again is like no there's no disrespect. Like that's not no shame at all
Right.
in that, right? But at the same time, like I didn't learn terrible. I mean, I learned he's a really good boxer. That's what I learned. In his Contender Series fight, it was a joke. It was just an absolute, it was a man that was sent to die, against
Yes, it
Kevin
was.
Vallejos.
It was Cam Teague.
Yeah, Cam Teague. That's right. I bet Cam Teague in that fight, like plus 400. That
R.I.P.
was
R.I.P.
very bad. Very, very bad. But then, like, his debut, look, he looked good against Choi. He knocked him out. But, like, Choi was doing fine before he got KO'd. It's not as if, he was just getting overwhelmed. He was having plenty of striking success in the early minutes of that fight. And I look at, like, this guy, and I'm like, yeah, I think his future is very, very bright. It seems like he's got a decent beard, good combinations, good boxing. The rest of his game should round out. But I still think he's got some flaws. There are spots in his regional tape when he's been put on bottom that do not look great to me at all. I expect he'll eventually clean those up. He's a very young fighter, but you got to go off what we have. And so far, I don't think it's great if he gets grounded. I also think his cardio is not bad, but I have some questions of how he'll last in an extended fight. And the level of competition he's fought, with the exception of Gene Silva, has been quite low. I mean, knocking out Choi was impressive 5 years ago. Now a stiff breeze knocks out Sungwoo Choi. Sadly, because I love Sungwoo Choi, but the guy's chin is just dust. And he's fighting Danny Silva, who I don't really love. I am much higher on Kevin Vallejos, down for like long term than I am on Danny Silva. But Silva's a tough fucker, man. He is, pardon my French, but he pressures aggressively. He's got decent output. He's a decent grappler. I don't love his wrestling, but if he gets on top of you, he's a pretty good grappler. He's insanely durable. He doesn't really back down. He's obviously been in a couple wars. He dogged out a fight against Joshua Kulabau. He beat Lucas Almeida. And I think about the Almeida fight, and I'm like, do I think Vallejos would run over Almeida? It's like he might knock him out, but I feel like Almeida would fight him pretty tough at this. I don't think he'd fight him tough in 3 or 4 years, but I think at this point in Vallejos' career, someone like a Lucas Almeida would be a really tough fight for him. I'd favor him, but I don't think it's like a smash spot at all, And I look at how this fight will play out, and I think they're going to bite mouthpieces, and I think they're going to bang. And, Vallejos may win that war. He might. He's got big power, and he's the much cleaner striker in the pocket. But, I mean, Silva we know has an insane chin, and Silva's got okay pop himself. Like, he could easily win that. We also know Silva's got much more reliable cardio, and he's got the grappling upside in this fight. I think if anybody was to get 6-7 minutes of control, it would be if Vallejos got tired and Silva got on top of him. I obviously favor Vallejos. He's the better technician. He's got, he's the much more precise boxer, and he's got faster hands. I do think he deserves to be a favorite. But yeah, like 600 said in the chat, that's kind of my thinking. Like I think Vallejos is one of the best prospects in the sport in the UFC, but I do think there's a pretty heavy hype tax here, and he's not getting like, you're not fading him with an old guy with a dusty chin here, right? You're fading him with a guy who's in his prime, who's got insane durability, and has already shown he can win at this level, and mix the martials. So, yeah, I'm taking a small shot at Silva here. I wouldn't shot if he loses. What's a purple crown, Legs? You know what a purple crown is? Quinn's asking for a purple crown.
I don't know. I don't know if he has to do anything in terms of like donating or anything. I don't think he has to.
Quinn, we'll send you a purple crown, and you can come on for the next.
I think you can just do it in. I think you should do it in chat, like in the chat. You have to do it yourself. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I don't know how it works or what it means, but yeah.
Moving on, we have another fun one here. 2 old guys. We got Neil Magny, Eliza taking on Eliza Zaleski dos Santos. This is a really interesting scrap.
Yeah.
Did you do Silva Vallejos?
Yes.
Oh no, you didn't. You did.
Yes, I did. Yes.
Yeah.
I
think
the price is fine on that, but yeah, we're doing a shot bet on that one if we do a 3-1. But
yep. We got Zaleski minus 200. Comeback on Neil Magny minus plus 170. What do you think, your Legs?
Is Neil taking it to the Magnyverse, John? Is that what we're doing here? And to be honest with you, it's interesting in a way because I think Neil could, make this fight dirty, bring it to the clinch, have a lot of volume here. I think he could out-volume Zaleski. The issue is Zaleski's going to have the bigger moments on the feet. He's got almost all of the finishing upside, probably 90% of the finishing upside, most of the grappling upside as well. So It's tough to get behind a Magny bet though. But to me, it's dog or pass.
There was some movement towards Neil yesterday, and I was kind of hoping to bet Zaleski at a point, just because I do think that like Magny's game is kind of good for an old man, like good volume, like a lot of cardio, good in the clinch, pretty good wrestler if he can get on top offensively. But I don't think his game is very well suited for a guy like Zaleski dos Santos. Zaleski's got great takedown defense, first of all. He's very, very good in the clinch himself. Like, Magny does his best work there, but like you look at like who's really beaten Zaleski in the clinch in recent years. He owned Abubakar there. He had a ton of success against Renat in the clinch as well in that fight. Like Magny could have success there, don't get me wrong, but I don't think he's got like a clear advantage there. At distance, I think, I know Zaleski's coming up a KO, but that's cheating, man. Like, I don't think Magny's going to KO him.
Right.
If Magny KOs him, it's going to be like an inside elbow or ground and pound, something like that. But, like, I do feel like Zaleski is just simply the much better defensive striker, the much more precise striker. I think he's a much more dangerous striker. He's also got much more, if he wants to go to the calf kicks, they're there, as we know. And I also think, like, if of the two, like if Magny gets on top of Zaleski, I think he'll get up, If Zaleski gets on top of Magny, I don't know what's going to happen. It wouldn't shock me if he subs him. So
yeah, that's fair.
I look at the fight, and it's like, I know Zaleski's off a KO, but I think he's the more durable fighter. I think he's the better striker. I just think he's the much better fighter where they are in their careers just towards the end. Now, having said all that, they're both old as shit. So, like, laying minus 200 on Zaleski, especially off a KO at 40, not really eager to do it. If it got back to, like, minus 165, 170, I would take that. I'd bite the bullet and bet him. But I don't know if it will. But I do think Zaleski's got him pretty covered skill for skill in this fight.
And little narrative there, too. Neil's birthday on Sunday.
How old is he going to be? 38? 39?
38, I believe. Let me look. Yeah, 38.
Yeah. All right. Interesting. I hope he doesn't spend his birthday in the hospital. That would be sad.
I know, right? That'd be awful.
Moving on, we got Carol Rosa taking on Nora Cornolle. Current price, Rosa minus 171. The comeback on Cornolle plus 146. Are you gonna? What do you think? Are you ready to trust Carol Rosa at juice here?
I'm not, and this is one similar to the last fight because, like, Carol Rosa, not really a big finisher. Sure, she has some wrestling background, but we really never see her land takedown. She's not really even her like game plan B. Really, she's just looking to go land a ton of volume, and that's really it. But she's very much a land two to give one kind of a girl. And Cornolle, she's tenacious. She's going to come forward, land some shots. I think I could see it being close. Don't get me wrong, Rosa's like the much better fighter here, but like no interest in laying 2-1 on her.
How is this not Carol Rosa? Like I'm where you are. I'm where you are right now. But like, she is so much better than Nora Cornolle at like everything. Yeah. Everything.
My big thing is her coming into the UFC. Like she was touted as this girl that had a lot of power, and we're just not seeing it. Not even I shouldn't say a lot of power, but like has some power. Enough power to like
but make a difference. She's the much better striker in this fight. She's got a big cardio edge. She's certainly the better grappler of the two of them. I guess like the big, and I'll give Nora credit for this. Yeah, she's got big power, and like obviously her power is kind of what swung. Well, it didn't swing the fight, but it made that. Who was it? What's
Edwards?
No, tall chick.
Cavalcanti.
Cavalcanti. Yeah, and it's kind of what made that go to the cards to split, though. Which. Okay, like that's understandable, but that kind of thing is that's a big deal, right? Women's MMA, like having like the significant power advantage in a fight, and I do think she's got the power advantage here. But having said that, I do wonder if the market's just gotten a little too low on Rosa because look at it, even our chat's agreeing with us. We're all saying it. Everybody I talk to saying it. How can you trust Carol Rosa? And it's like. Well, people said that about Ryan Spann when I took him 2 weeks ago.
I literally was just gonna say that because everybody was talking about like that week specifically. You had a great parlay with Spann and Cruz.
Jimmy Cruz.
The two people who said they were the most untrustworthy guys, but in the matchup specifically that they had that night, They were trustworthy.
That's what I'm saying. Because it's like, I look at this and I'm like, unless Cornolle's going to knock her out cold, she's going to get kicked in the calf a shitload. She's the way worse striker. I kind of think if anybody's going to get big top time, it's going to be Rosa here.
Agreed.
She's got way better cardio. She's fought way better women. I feel like
she's also a dumbass though. Fight IQ, man. Like even like I laid like I think it was, at the time it was minus 250 or minus 260 against real old chick. Oh, hold on, give me a second here. Lena Landsberg.
Yeah,
that's what it was. Ends up losing a point there. Yeah, like dude.
I know. Rosa finds a way to court catastrophe. It seems like.
Yes.
But she's like a good fighter. She's a very good fighter, and like Cornolle is not a good fighter. She's a very bad fighter who just hits. Who's got decent physical attributes. I don't know, man. I keep thinking about it, and I'm like, I know people are like. I know people are like really like sour on Rosa after the Perez fight, but like to be fair, Ali Perez is like a pretty good fighter. Her game is ugly as shit, and she sucks at striking. But like she's a good grappler, and it's imposing enough that people kind of get scared off by it. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I don't know.
People got to start respecting Perez. In terms of wrestling threat. Yeah.
I think it's Rosa. I don't know if I'll bet it. I feel like I feel so bad about losing a juice on her, but like I honestly think this is one of those like keep it simple, stupid. Like it's Carol Rosa against Laura Cornolle, and you're getting better than 2-1.
Yeah, it's Anthony Hernandez, John, or not Anthony Hernandez, Alex Hernandez.
If it was Anthony Hernandez against Laura Cornolle, I'd have my house would be on it.
I know, right? I know.
And that piano in the back with it.
Yes.
Moving on. We have got Estevam Ribovics taking on Elvis Brener. This is another banger here. Fun fact, last time this was booked, I had a pretty big bet on Ribovics at around plus 150. Well, that fight got canceled, and he's now minus 260, and the comeback on Brener is plus 220. What do you think here, Legs?
It's another one that I just think is kind of unbettable, and I'm fine just watching it as a fan. I think it's going to be a war of a fight. Like, I think Ribovics has a lot of advantages and why he is a big favorite here. He has a durability edge, in my opinion, a volume edge, power edge, cardio edge. I think only the wrestling edge is the only thing that's lacking here, and even that, like, Brenner's not a great wrestler. Can he land some takedowns here? Sure. I don't think he's going to have a ton of success holding Ribovics down.
Yeah, it's an interesting fight because, like, had this fight been booked prior to the Nasrat fight, and this was the price, I'd probably bet Elvis just because, like, I was kind of skeptical about Ribovics' like not his durability, but like just how hittable he is and how he would deal with like a precise striker. And Elvis isn't even that precise, but he really impressed me. I mean, he lost against Nasrat. I bet Nasrat a
close fight,
10. Yeah, but I thought Nasrat was going to beat his fucking ass on the feet in that fight. And, like, he hung in there and just kept fucking coming, And Nasrat's a good striker. He's not, like, a top 10 guy, but, like, he's a top 20 to 25 guy, And that just really impressed me. And so, like, I look at this, it's like, yeah, Brener should find some shots. Ribovics is very hittable. I'm sure Brenner's going to hit him a bunch in this fight. But
yeah,
Ribovics is way more durable, and he is way bigger, and he is way more damaging with his strikes. The big question of the entire fight just comes down to, can Brener get, body triangles? And Sixhound saying, are we getting EPO Brener or AIDS victim Brener? I agree. Like, Brenner's been pretty inconsistent in his
I know.
too. Like, the Brener from the Guram fight, I think Ribovics fucking kills. And he won that fight, If you get the Brener from the Oralby fight, though, maybe he gets a couple takedowns and some body triangles and a submission. I do think Ribovics can get his back taken, and I do think Brener can take his back. So I think it's an interesting fight in that respect because I do think the grappling path for Brener is there. What I question is just whether or not he's got the physicality and the cardio to push it the way he's going to need to push it to win this fight. Because if he doesn't do that, I don't want to say he can't win on the feet, but I'd be surprised. I really would be surprised if I guess the one. Yeah, no. Yeah,
I would say he'll be in a little bit of a deer in the headlights on the feet. Yeah.
I was gonna say the Zellhuber fights age pretty bad for Ribovics, but the hack press performance was really good. I like no doubt about it. Yeah, I'm with you. I think Ribovics 70% seems fine to me. Honestly, I don't have any like. If Elvis can get body triangles, that's fine. But like, I could see Elvis losing that fight, similar to how what is his name, the Hawaiian I bet against him,
Kamala Kirk.
Kirk did.
Yeah.
Whereas if they stay standing, I think Ribovics is gonna absolutely smash him.
And that's why I feel like a lot of people are loving this over 1.5 minus 210. And like, I get it, both guys are pretty durable, but like, these guys are eating a lot of shots too. Like, I feel like that's just a lot of juice for like what I expect to be like an all-out war.
Yeah, I totally agree.
It's gotta be sweaty.
I totally agree. Moving on, we got Chris Duncan taking on Mateusz Rambetsky. Current price, Rambetsky minus 200. The comeback on Duncan plus 170. What are your thoughts here, Lags?
I like the Chris Duncan side, honestly, like plus 170, plus 180. I know he's going to be at a speed disadvantage here early on, but like, I think it's going to be hard for Rebecca to try to, like, for either of these guys, honestly, to get a ton of meaningful wrestling success going. So, like, in terms of the striking, I think Duncan's probably a bigger hitter, or even it's close to being commensurate. I think the volume's probably close as well. And not to mention, I think Duncan's got way better cardio than Rebecca as well. So, I think plus 180 is kind of nuts, to be honest. I think this is more like a plus 130, plus 140 Chris Duncan kind of a spot.
I like
it's tough
here. I actually like the juice, honestly. I just think the difference in firepower between the two is just huge in this fight.
Fair.
Like I agree there's a Duncan cardio edge here, but the issue I have is like, one, Duncan is not particularly high volume, so it's not like you're getting a CDF fight where like CDF is going to walk you down like all fight if you don't hold him down to the ground, Rambetsky's probably going to be able to like pick his spots to break and whatnot here. On the feet, Duncan's taller and he's longer, but he's so much slower, man. The guy is glacial and so easy to hit. And Rambetsky is really fast and really, really explosive. Like I think I do not think he's gonna have a hard time at all, finding his shots against Duncan, finding big shots. My instinct is he's probably gonna knock him out in the first 1 or 2 rounds. Honestly, I think Duncan is pretty overrated in general. Like, he's had a nice run, he's fought pretty well of late, but like, actually go look at the wins that he's getting. The percentage fight looked like it was turning pretty bad on him, and then he landed a guillotine. Oki was messing him up and took him down twice, and then he guillotined him. Manuel Torres thoroughly outgrappled him and submitted him. Ashmuz broke his arm in the first round. The Morales fight was very, very close. I just feel like Duncan is, has been very, very fortunate in kind of, how his career has played out thus far. And now he's getting a guy who, Rambetsky's a much better grappler. If someone's going to be getting top position here, it's going to be Rambetsky. I'm pretty sure. Even if Duncan takes him down, he's not going to control him there.
Yeah,
I think if someone's going to get a sub, it's much more likely to be Rambetsky. And I think about it, I'm like, Rambetsky could blow his load here and, get tired. But I think even if he gets tired, he might be able to land a takedown or two late or find like big shots. Like, Duncan's not really separating from anybody unless he can grapple. So I just feel like there's much, much, much more finishing upside for Rambetsky. I think he's going to be the much better winner. I think the athleticism gap is gigantic. I think he should be closer to like the minus 270 range personally. I'm considering betting him. I'm hoping it comes in a bit because it doesn't seem like there's all that much market interest in him. But I like the Rambetsky side here.
All right.
Moving on, I'll throw it to you, Lax, for the main event. We got Tatsuro Taira taking on Hyun-Sung Park. Current price, this line just went up, so I'm sure this will probably bang around a bit. It's minus 240 Taira. Come back on Park plus 205. What do you think?
Just actually looking at it now, I actually have some interest in the under, just because I feel like it covers a lot of both guys, just because under 3.5 minus 115. Just because Park, almost all of his wins are finishes, and I feel like if he is going to deter Taira from the grappling or just minimize the grappling in general, I think he's probably going to also need to find a finish as well. Otherwise, I feel like Taira is going to be able to just take him down, maybe even find a finish himself, be the dominant minute winner himself. So I'd rather have an under than a side, but I'm fine with Taira being a decent size favorite though, just because of the grappling upside, the short notice dynamic for the 5-round fight.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting fight, to be honest. I I like Park as a fighter quite a bit. He's obviously very physical for the weight class, very fast. Powerful hands, pretty good grappler himself, very good grappler himself. But he's very young and he's very untested. I like his striking. I like how hard he pressures, and I think that could pay some dividends here. If he can get Taira on the back feet or on the back foot, I think he can, find his shots that he needs here to like hurt him and or win rounds. I do think there's a fair amount of questions as to what happens, if he gets put on bottom, which we don't really know. Even the one or two times it's happened, it's like the level difference there between that and Tatsuro Taira is just so wide. So, I mean, those are big questions. But having said that, I feel like if it turns out Park actually has a pretty good get-up game, which I think he probably does given his jiu-jitsu, but I mean, who knows? Taira is a great grappler, right? So, but like if it turns out Park does have a pretty good get-up game, I think he'll win this fight. Like I think he's the better striker than Taira is. I really, I know Taira's got some pop. He does. He's a big guy, but I really have not liked what I've seen from him striking in his last two fights. It's looked.
He seems uncomfortable.
Very uncomfortable. And he's very low volume. To be honest, in every one of his fights, really, even going back to like Carlos Hernandez. Not Carlos Hernandez, sorry. Christ, what is my brain is just not functioning today. Who was the guy he fought his debut? Which one?
Not Carlos Vieira.
He fought another guy, another DWCS guy in his debut. I can't believe let me pull it up right now. Carlos Candelario. Oh, never mind. That's not. Oh no, Vergara. Like Vergara, like he owned Vergara, but like Vergara was striking fine with him kind of early. Chires too. So like, I think if Park can stay on his feet, he's gonna beat him up pretty bad, in my opinion. I like his durability. I like his boxing. I like Park a lot as a prospect in general, man.
Yeah, he seems solid. Yeah.
My big question is just like it's such a big question because like Tatsuro Taira is one of the best young prospects in the UFC. He's the best, one of, if not the best grappler in this weight class at 125. We don't know how Park's going to fare over 5 rounds. And I'll say this, Tatsuro Taira against, he lost to Royval. I bet Royval in that fight, but he showed some real balls in that fight, going deep into a fight. Dude almost got finished in round 3, came back, won the 4th round of that fight, was in a competitive 5th round of that fight. I think Taira is tough, and we don't know how Park's going to be like that. So Park is now taking this fight. He was supposed to fight next week, but he's moving that up a full week. He's taken a giant step up in competition here and taking on the best grappler he's ever fought. I like style. It's a huge ask. Yes, that's kind of my point. Like stylistically, I like the fight for Park. If Park was fighting like the Alex Perez's and Steve Ercegs of the world already, I mean now comps. Right. And like having this kind of success, I'd be betting him here. Yeah. Right? Obviously.
Right. Yeah.
But it's like
he'd also be like plus 130 though. Plus 140.
Or a favorite.
Right. To your point. Yeah.
But so that's like my point. So he beat Shannon Ross, who cares? And Carlos Hernandez, which is like a nice win, but Carlos Hernandez isn't very good. Like he's a well-rounded fighter, but he's kind of harmless. So it doesn't tell us a lot in the context of this fight. So it's like I feel we are getting enough. I feel the line being near 70% implied, it adds it does a good job capturing the uncertainty of Park and whether or not he's ready for this kind of step up. Like the line could prove to be very, very far off towards Park, but guys taking a short notice fight like this and taking this kind of a step up against elite grapplers, the history of that isn't very good. So look, I won't be shocked if Park shocks the world here and pulls an upset. I'm rooting for him. I like him as a fighter quite a bit, but I do think, you have to build in, some kind of a tax here for, all the macro stuff, which clearly favors Taira in my opinion.
Yep. Completely agree with you, John.
But yeah, guys, that'll do it for us tonight. We will be back. I don't know what card is after this. We got UFC every week till mid-September though. So we'll be back.
Deletes Hernandez.
Oh yeah, that's I have a controversial opinion on that card. I'm excited for it. We will be back next week. We'll fire. I like this. We picked the date based on how far along tape we are, to be honest. Instead of us sticking it in the, I know we've been trying to keep a time, but I was able to tape 4 fights today, actually, Taping on Sundays, are tough. So we'll let you guys know what day it's at. Lags let it know Sunday morning.
Yep.
And then,
we'll try to keep it Sunday, though.
We'll try to keep it Sunday. Yeah, I'll try to get ahead of tape this week. But yeah, guys, drop a like, subscribe. We'll appreciate it. And we'll see you next week. Peace.